it is Mary and I am back for video 3 of my 4-part series teaching you guys how to prepare for your mock classes. The checklist that I'm giving you is straight from VIPKID, so it is definitely something to pay attention to and take notes on. Watch the video a couple times if you need to and write everything down, and then prepare for your mock classes using these checklists. These are things that the mentors are going to be looking for. This is basically what you're graded on. So take it, run with it, add your own energy and excitement levels and expertise, and hopefully you get through your mock classes to become a VIPKID teacher. The first thing in this third video, which we're going to title Techniques, is the classroom management portion. And for classroom management, you've got two things. You've got a reward system and then a reprimand. But I rarely reprimand students. Every now and then when I'm teaching, I will have to say, sit up please, I can't see you, because they're laying down and showing me their feet or whatever. But in general, for your mock classes, you are going to be rewarding them for doing a good job. Now, you will correct them if they make a mistake, which I talked about in video 2, but the reward system is the key for your classroom management. So I encourage you to come up with something unique that is your own for mock classes. I did use the tooth system for my interview, and I think mock 1 even, but then for mock 2, I came up with my own reward system. There are tons of things out there. If you look on YouTube, if you look on Pinterest, go to Target, you can find reward systems that will work. You can also just do something simple, and this is what I did for my mock 2. I said, when you do a good job today, you get candy. Candy! And I hold it up to the camera real close. So that's what I used, and then I just put it in a jar and like a cup, I think. Here, I'll show you. Good job! You get candy! So you can come up with your own, but definitely have a reward system in place that you consistently use throughout the lesson. I give a reward about every 5 minutes just to make sure I get through 5 rewards per lesson. The next thing you want to focus on is your lesson planning. And when you're talking about your lesson planning, of course you want to look at it beforehand, right? So you get the email, you got the link, click, log in, look at the PowerPoint, and you can see that when you log in, it'll say mock class PowerPoint, view or download, so click there to see it. And when you are going through it, just prepare, look at every slide, get an idea of what you're going to do for each slide. And then part of the lesson planning is adding your own fun and engaging activities that are appropriate for the lesson to make it flow better. You want it to be smooth. You don't want to stop the lesson and, for your transitions, you don't want to stop. You don't want to have a long pause where you're not sure what you're doing. And you want to add, this is where your props come into play, which we've talked about before, but you want to add those fun and engaging props and activities to your lesson. You want to keep the incidental language down. So I'm not saying, go on and on and on and on a slide with a bunch of words, but just add to it. So for example, when I teach big and small, which is a very common lesson in VIPKID that I'm doing right now for my classes, I whip out this big emoji and I say big, small. I show them a small one. So that's just one way that you can add something to the lesson to make it a little more engaging. Every time I pull that out, the kids are like, whoa, they love it. So focus on your lesson plan, don't skim it, really prepare. Read the notes for the teacher at the bottom and be ready for your lesson. Next up is pacing and timing, and this is the thing that I struggled with on mock 1. I was like 8 minutes over. Not even kidding, it was bad. So pay attention to that. Get yourself a timer. There might be a timer in the classroom. I'm not sure if it's on the mock classes or not. There is when you're teaching, so I have not had a problem with pacing since. But you basically want to spend 1 minute per slide. You can go a little faster through the review slides and then spend a little more time on the lesson, but you want to make sure you're pacing it with the student's abilities. So make sure as you're going through the lesson that you're allowing that time to get through every slide. Don't skip slides. Now you might, for the memory game, for example, there's 2 rows of cards to play that memory game, you can maybe just do one row, but talk to the mentor beforehand about that and make sure they're okay with that too. That's something I did and it was fine, but I have heard feedback where other people say it's not fine. You definitely don't want to skip a whole slide. Don't do that. But you can, from my experience, you can just do a few of the concepts on that slide, make sure they have it, and then move on. But watch your timing and try to make sure you keep it in 25 minutes. You need to stay within that 25 minutes for both Mach 1 and Mach 2. The next thing we're going to talk about is your rapport. And what we mean by this is how well you ease into and out of the lesson. So when you start, there's likely going to be a song, hello, or something that you're going to do. Hello, how are you? You know that one. Or a goodbye song at the end. Just make sure that you transition smoothly and positively from the hello song to the next slide. And you don't want to say, now we are going to start the lesson. It's too many words. You've got to watch that incidental language. But positively move into that next slide. So if I have a lesson and the first slide is a song and we sing it, and then the next slide is the letter A, then I go right into, I see the letter A. And you're just staying positive and making it smooth. It's not real abrupt. You're just going right into it. Same thing with the goodbye song. When you finish the lesson and I get to that goodbye song, I don't just immediately start singing it. I say, you did a good job today. You got 5 stars. Very good. Let's sing a song together. And then we sing the goodbye song. Or you could just say, let's sing, and then start singing. So just make sure you work on those transitions and keep your rapport with the student positive. Keep it happy, smiling, keep it a good, positive rapport. Next up is your energy level, and you want to keep this appropriate throughout the lesson. You don't want to be constantly like, ah, blah, ah, for everything, right? There's a time for that in the beginning, especially when you're greeting them. You can be like, hello, whatever, and be excited. But when you're reading, you want to read at a normal voice, use good tones, and your voice will fluctuate, your tones will fluctuate. You'll add to the reading with emphasis, but you don't want to be like, the dog is sad. That's just an example. I don't know, it's probably a dumb one, but I'm just saying, keep your energy level appropriate to what's going on in the lesson. There are times for excitement and rewards, and then there's times where they need to be reading and paying attention and listening and hearing the pronunciation of those words that you're doing and you're teaching them. And the final part for this video 3, the techniques, is going to be your lesson objectives. You want to make sure you get through everything that you need in the lesson. So your high frequency words, they'll give you those. Make sure you hit those. Make sure you have everything, your vocabulary. Make sure you're getting through everything that you need to cover in that lesson, all of the content. So don't ignore that part. This is what takes a little bit of practice to get that to go smoothly and to get it to flow for you. But it's really worth it to work on that because that is a really important part of the VIPKID teaching. So you want to make sure you incorporate the math, the phonics, don't skip any slides, work on those high frequency words, and get through all the content. So you want to make sure you kind of lay that out ahead of time when you're preparing and practicing to make sure you hit everything. You know, in video 1, we talked about the setup, and that was real simple. There's not a lot of preparation there. Video 2 is the basics, where you do have to have a little bit of practice just to get used to how a VIPKID teacher teaches. This video is where the practice is really going to come in, the preparation. Really put some time into these and prepare for those mock classes. You can do it. I'll see you in video 4.